Alright, knockout Blackjack. I believe this is where we left off. For a single deck of a premium game, the expectation is 4,300 of a percent of the ballpark multiple deck shoe game over the East Coast and Las Vegas trade-off looks like this. Multiple deck games have more liberal double splitting rules. Alternatively, single deck games impose restrictive doubling, and commonplace can often be found within the same casino. Rules variation for the casino. The casino has significant impact. Expectations have earnings independent with the finding of the favorable the card counting conditions as described later in this book. Recommended always playing with the best available game throughout the. Though this may require going to different casinos, often always need the short walk around the pit. It's not uncommon for the single casino to offer the range of the game's basic strategy expectations differ from 3%. Rule before we look at some of the entry for the effect of the rules variation table, a few words effect for the multiple decks in order. Why same basic strategy does the basic deck game have the works expectation than the single deck game. Peter Griffin theory of the Blackjack, 3 primary reasons for the natural 21s occurs less frequently. Multiple deck packs double down is less advantage of multiple decks, and the judicial standing is stiff to tail stalls and less advantages. I'm going to stand on my ace and 5, blackjack fallacy. Some superstitious play refuse to hit on hands such as a soft 16 somewhere, believing that their might be handed worse or by doing so. In fact, saying anytime player stands on 16 or less, the only chance of winning is the dealer's bust. So all hands on 16 or less are as equivalent. It would stood a hard 16 has the same chance of winning a soft 12 with 2 aces, or a total 5 consisting of 2s and 3s. Never stand on an ace off the total of 16 or less. There is no penalty for taking another hit. You can handle. Hand cannot get any worse. Similarly, you should never stand on any total less of 11 or less. Again, your hand cannot be made worse with another hit. The consequence each occur because you might expect with the effect of the removal of the individual cards is so pronounced with a single deck and multiple deck games. For example, when doubling down a hand of 7 and 3 against the dealer up card 4, the player is hoping to get either an ace or a 10, considering the 3 cards of the player. If the player still has 4 aces, 6 10s available, chance of the drawing one of them in a single deck game is therefore 20 to 49 or 408 hundredths of a percent. In the deck of the game, on the other hand, the chance would be considerably less of the 164, 113, 386, 387. The success rate with 95% of the single deck game, you can see with the 3 cards already in play. An example to improve the player's chance of success in a single deck case. Here's another example of considering one of the key advantages afforded for the player. The bonus paid on naturals in the deck of 8 deck games off the top of the change of the receiving the 2 cards of 21 of the 4.75%, while with the single of the deck of the 4.83%. Even more striking, assuming we have a natural in hand, the chins of the dealer also possess one of the sensitive function of the number of the decks, and with an 8 deck game, dealer chance of duplicating the natural is 4.61%. With a single deck of the can drops precipitously to 3.6%. With a clear, most restrictive double down rule, the more a player is hurt with it, though not badly. It may seem that restricting double down to only 10 and 11 should cost us more than 21 hundredths of a percent, but reality must be game of the doubling of the down from the 2 plays. In addition, it may seem that allowing double downs if the number of the cards should be more than 24 hundredths of a percent. However, on the soft hand of the double usually occur, if at all, with the initial 2 cards. Furthermore, the being double the 3 card total of 10 or 11 happens very infrequently. A game where the dealer wins all ties catastrophic to the player's profitability. Even the card counter will be unable to beat the game. Charity might be blackjack games often incorporate the feature to ensure that the house makes money during the event. A simplified basic strategy for the new game. For those new to the game, of the basic strategy presented may seem a bit intimidating, and such we boiled down the rules simplified instead for the novice. Well, the simplified set is sufficient for the casual play. Simplification does come to expense of the power of the typical game. Using simplified basic strategy costs you an extra 3500% compared to your generic basic strategy expectation. Thus, the benchmark is 6-deck game. Your expectation would roughly be negative 0.9%. Still, simplified basic strategy rules never take insurance. For splitting pairs, always split or pair aces or eights. Double down 10 or 11. Double down if the total is greater than dealer's up card. Hard hands with 17 or more always stand. With 12 or 16 hit against the dealer's up card. With 7 or more otherwise stand. With 11s or less always hit unless doubling. With soft hands, soft 18 or more always stand. It's soft 17 less or less always hit. An expected payback in excess of 99%, which is better than almost other game you can play in the casino. Summary: basic strategy to set the playing rules based on the cards in your hand and the dealer's up card. Deviation of the basic strategy without any other information about the deck composition will cost you in the long run. In principle, the basic strategy matrix slightly different with a different playing card without the difference of the subtotal with a minor changing the expectation between the implying or generic basic strategy table. They approximately each table with a function of the number of the deck and rules. 4 is typically a 300% or less, therefore not worthy of an effort to remember. Word of notation: for this point forward, we will periodically return certain rules abbreviated notation. For example, the rule double down on any first two cards abbreviation DOA. With a stand on double on abbreviated to double DOA, which stands double on anything, and even another common rule variation concerned with the dealer's hitting standing on soft 17. The dealer stands on soft 17, referred to as S17. On the other hand, games in the dealer hits soft 17, abbreviated H17. Doubling down allowed after splitting will call the DAS. And if not, a game of non-DAS. Rule under round 3, introducing card counting.